Hey guys, I wanted to share with you, I've been doing a lot of work around like fear of rejection and where does it come from? Because so many of us struggle with this really intense fear of rejection that keeps us from advancing. It keeps us from making more money. It keeps us from making relationships with new people, and we kind of just get stuck. And I wanted to talk a little bit about where that fear of rejection, where it's rooted. So there's a lot of research that supports the idea that the most important years of our life is that time from the age of 0 to 5, and some even saying that time in utero prior to is very important. So what does that mean when we're birthed into a family where our parents are not able to give us the minimum requirements for love, or are unavailable, or are struggling with a mental health issue like postpartum depression, who have personality issues where they're just kind of inconsistent. And what happens is there's 4 different kinds of attachments, and sometimes they can be mixed together. So you've got your first one, which is the secure attachment, which we all wish we had. Some research suggests that most people are securely attached, but I think in my field I've learned that I think that's not totally true. There's 3 other major types of attachment styles, which is the ambivalent, which is the anxious type of attachment, the avoidant, and then the last is the disorganized attachment style. And so so where the fear of rejection is rooted is in the anxious attachment, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it and how the anxious attachment is formed. So an anxious attachment gets formed when your parent, at this point, we're not sure if it's mother or father, both and, either or, who knows, or just caregiver. When caregiver is unable to consistently provide for your needs being met. I think we're looking mostly at emotional needs, but we can also look at basic needs. So children who come from poverty and things like that, obviously there's a whole lot of environmental issues that would affect how an attachment gets formed, like mom has to work, mom's never home, there's a caregiver. Anyways, so it doesn't matter who you get attached to, it's just whoever your primary attachment person is, you can be anxiously attached to. So for example, as a child, you think a child falls down and gets hurt. Sometimes the parent responds by saying, "Are you okay?" And sometimes the parent responds by getting upset. "You idiot, why did you fall down? Didn't you see that in the way?" So it's really important to look at that, right? And a child who's experiencing that over and over and over again kind of starts to create this fear of what's okay, what's not okay. Can I do this? Can I do that? And an internal anxiety starts to build. It also starts to build this, I want my caregiver, I don't want my caregiver. So you start entering this push-pull kind of thing. And so what this looks like as an adult, one, is an intense fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of risk-taking. It's really, in relationships, we see it all the time. You get a push-pull relationship, which is an anxious attachment style, with an avoidant attachment style, which personally, that's where I have the anxious attachment style. So what you see is like somebody who gets nervous or upset, or like, let's say there's an argument in a marriage and you legitimately have these concerns, like, I'm upset and I have this, I'm concerned. And so what happens is as soon as you see the partner get upset when you're in anxious attachment style, you pull back and you say, "Oh, no. And then you start trying to placate the other partner because you don't want them to get upset, because you're afraid they're going to leave, because you're afraid of rejection. And so it's really important to start looking, if you have that fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, you're having a hard time breaking that glass ceiling, is to start looking and internally looking at your own attachment styles, looking where it comes from, being really honest with yourself about the relationship that you have with whoever your primary source of caregiving was as a child, and looking to see like where did it go? Was it not working so great? It's still functional, right? Like still successful, still, it's not like nobody's saying that your childhood was terrible. It's just saying to know that how it was inconsistent, and then searching for a way to repair it. So a lot of work around trauma can be really helpful for attachment injuries. And just, I know a lot of people think EMDR is great, somatic experiencing, a lot of this body-focused work, because unfortunately from the ages of 0 to 5 are what, there's a whole another video about this that I could make. There's 2 different types of memory, and one is called procedural and one's episodic. And so from 0 to 5, our episodic memory, which is like the chronological kind of memory, is still like in its infancy stages. So a lot of our memories and a lot of that information is stored in something that we call procedural memory and in body memory. So in order to treat it and get it out, you have to use these other kinds of forms that are not your traditional talk therapy. But I hope you enjoyed a little bit informational piece, especially if you're on your journey and trying to figure out why the heck am I so afraid of getting rejected. And I hope that it gives you some insight to make changes, maybe do some more research, and if it's within you, to go look for a good therapist. All right, I hear we have a good therapist here at PAX, but not everybody's close to Whittier. So good luck on your journey.